Um, so hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. I've always got to switch back to gallery when you highlight me like that, but not a problem. Yeah, good to see everybody. It's been a while since I've been here. I've been a lot of other places and all no complaints. But I'd like to talk tonight about giving thanks, given we just passed what's called an American holiday of Thanksgiving. And it's a paradoxical holiday because it's not thankful for everybody. For Native peoples in this country, it's a day of mourning and protest, actually, commemorating the arrival of the settlers who came to North America and the oppression and genocide that happened after that. But if we're looking at what it means to give thanks from the heart of the Dharma, from the perspective of the Dharma, it's much more interesting to consider what is thanksgiving, because the 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 kind of celebrations that happen in many, many cultures around the world have to do with giving thanks for the blessings of the harvest season and the end of the harvest and the last year of growing things and then getting the crops in. And that occurs around the world in these times, in the autumn times of the year, everywhere from Europe and Germany or Asia and Japan, all kinds of different places where people celebrate the goodness of what's given by life, by the world, by the earth. And so for us in the Dharma, the real question is about the giving of thanks. And what is that? Because it's a beautiful act to be thankful. And the act of giving thanks is an expression of gratitude in the dictionary, and often related to God or what's sacred. And in the thesaurus, the words that are the same as thanks are gratitude or gratefulness or appreciation or acknowledgement. And so for us, it becomes part of our practice, part of which I was trying to point at a little in the meditation. Each moment is given. It's not sold to you. The moment is not sold, it's given. And all the different phenomena that arise are given. And of course, they're not all pleasant, and they're not all unpleasant. It's life that is given, and life includes both of the dukkha and the sukha of life. And in the dictionary, they also talk about the acknowledgement that giving thanks is acknowledgement or celebration of a kind of divine goodness or blessings. And it's both about the divine and the ordinary dispensation of thy bounties. That's what it says. And which means coming from God or the heavens. And in Buddhism, gratitude is something that's very common in Buddhism. Gratitude, appreciation, recognition, an expression of gratitude for the sacred or the numinous or the magic of reality and the goodness, the divine goodness of just the fact that we're here and we're conscious and alive. And that the appreciation of the ordinary dispensation of thy bounties is really just about life and appreciating our lives and appreciating the moments that are given, which is right now. And you could just appreciate it because it won't be here again like this ever. And that kind of appreciation is often seen or heard in the different poems or texts. Our old friend Ryokan, Japanese monk, he said, "The bamboo grove in front of my hut, every day I see it 1,000 times, yet never tire of it." Every day I see it 1,000 times, but it's always brand new because it's always alive and each moment is brand new. Or another Zen monk, EQ, he said, "This brick house I live in is really the sky and just as priceless." I wonder if we all feel that about wherever we live. It's just like the sky. And of course, the positivity you're hearing in their expressions is not to deny the difficulty or the suffering of life, but practice being the way to find some resolution between the split between good and bad, right or wrong, like and not like, and discover the maturity of seeing life, which is painful at times and miraculous, as Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Vietnamese monk, said. And Thich Nhat Hanh said this once. He said, "When we have a toothache, we know that not having a toothache is a pleasurable feeling." Everybody get that, right? If you don't have a toothache, it's pleasurable compared to a toothache. He goes on to say, but when we do not have, when we have a toothache, we know that not having a toothache is a pleasurable feeling. But when we do not have a toothache, most of us are unaware of this pleasant feeling. Only when we lose our sight will we become aware that having eyes to see the blue sky and the white clouds is miraculous. While we can see, we are rarely aware of the miracle. Practicing meditation is to be aware of both what is painful and what is miraculous. And so it's seeing that even in the suffering, there's something being given. There's some possibility. There's some potential for us to wake up and discover the goodness of what we are and the magic of what we are and the miraculousness of what we are. And of course, the great Sufi poet Rumi writes about a priest who prays for thieves and muggers, who said, "Because they have done me such generous favors, every time I turn back toward the things they want, I run into them. They beat me and leave me in the road, and I understand again that what they want is not what I want. But those who make you return for whatever reasons to the Spirit, be grateful to them." And of course, it's seeing that even the dukkha that we don't like and don't want, but we have, we can appreciate that it turns us towards opening the heart, freeing the mind, finding our commonality with all beings here. The giving of thanks, the bestowal of a kind of gratitude or gratefulness allows us to see that all is given, that reality is giving us life each moment. And we can have thanks for our thoughts or our feelings, even if we don't like them. So I was reading the newspaper, I believe it was today, and there was an article that really touched me about the goodness of people, the goodness of human beings that we don't often hear about. And I'll read you a little bit. It's about a young boy from Mexico, 14-year-old Hector Nale, who posted a video to Instagram. And he did it telling the Arizona Cardinals quarterback, Kyler Murray, that he was Nale's inspiration to get through cancer treatment. And Nale got to meet his hero because Murray flew Hector and his mother and father and sister to Mexico City from their hometown in Tordano, Mexico, for the Monday night game between the Cardinals and the 49ers. It just happened. And he gave them tickets and field passes. And then, before the game at some time, Murray waved Hector into the field at the stadium in Mexico City, and the two hugged and talked and played catch, just like Murray had promised in his video response to Hector. And Hector had posted a video in November of 2020, the day he had surgery to remove 10 centimeters of his right fibula, which included a tumor caused by osteosarcoma. And Murray responded a few days later and sent him a video. And throughout his recovery, Hector used Murray as an inspiration to get through it, sleeping with the jersey Murray had sent him and watching Murray's highlights to pass the time between chemotherapy treatments. And so you just hear this very simple thing for a very successful football player, very wealthy, very highly respected, just taking the time to respond to somebody who is suffering and respond kindly and wisely and helpfully. And there was another article I saw about other sports stars, and I like sports, so I follow it a bit, and how they've responded to suffering. And this is the person speaking is Dr. Francesco Dandekar, who's the director of sports psychiatry. Excuse me, the director of sports psychiatry at Stanford. And he was asked about that several NBA players such as DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love and John Wall openly talk about their mental health challenges. And he said, Dr. Dandekar said, I think one of the worst pains a human can feel is isolation, particularly isolation in their suffering. When you have someone who by all external metrics has made it, you're in the NBA and you have all this money, and wait, you were really anxious? And he's talking about their experience. They were anxious and they didn't want to go to the grocery store because they would see people, or they wanted to kill themselves, which of course happens to many people, to have that thought or feel bad in that way. And these NBA stars are talking about it. And he goes on to say, he says, you hear Michael Phelps talk about stuff, and the relatability factor is huge. You start thinking, maybe I'm not that different. We all think that what we're going through is unique. When we hear people we revere say they struggle with similar things, it allows us to feel less alone. That in and of itself can be useful. It encourages people to take it as another part of life. It's really brave and empowering to have a lot of these high-profile athletes sharing their stories. And I agree. I think that's a really beautiful part of having that stage to speak on. They're successful, they've done well, and they can give back. And so it's part of thanks and the giving of thanks. The giving is the act of bestowing a gift. And it's a gift when people give the truth and are real and are kind and are human about what's true, even their dukkha, even when they have a lot of sukha, like being a successful and, NBA player. And so one of the things that I'm grateful for, so I've been thinking about this talk, and what I give thanks for is, of course, the Dharma. And I get sent quotes, Dharma quotes. And so there was a quote recently that I loved from Sayadaw U Tejaniya, who I've practiced with and met and got to hang out with a bit, who's a great teacher, wonderful Buddhist monk and teacher. And he says this, he said, asking questions in meditation can make the mind curious to learn. But many yogis misunderstand that. They think you need to figure it out, but that's not it. That's not what we're doing. You ask a question to direct the mind's attention and to encourage the mind to watch and learn. So after you ask a question, you simply observe. It's all about observations. And then he went and listed some of the kinds of questions that he drops in one at a time into his mind while he's sitting. So he will be sitting and he'll say, and one question that he'll ask, he won't ask it every moment, but he'll just ask, what am I aware of now? And then just see what you're aware of. And of course, you can do that even in a moment. What are you aware of now? Even when you're not formally meditating, what are you aware of now? And just wait and see what you're aware of. And then other questions that U Tejaniya said is, am I properly aware or only superficially aware? Am I really here? This is how I hear it. Am I really here? Am I not here? And can I really be here fully? Can I give myself to the meditative process fully? Or another question he drops in during a meditation of what kind of thoughts are present in the mind? And just be aware, are they happy? Are they sad? Are they wanting? Are they not wanting? And then he had this in the quote that I was sent. He's the last question in this little piece that I was sent said, am I relaxed? And I love that because I that's a practice I do 24/7. Am I relaxed or not relaxed? And if I'm not relaxed, why not? And can I, and it doesn't mean that to not be relaxed means everything's fine. It means I can relax with the direct experience I'm having here, even when I don't like it. And it doesn't mean the not liking goes away. You relax around the experience. Mm. One of my teachers, Hamid Ali, said, when you experience gratitude, you're in touch with reality. He said it many years ago, and I love that quote from Hamid because it's true, right? The fulfillment is not just by getting things, really. It's by the heartfelt recognition that every moment of life is given. This moment is being given. And so there's a kind of natural expression of our being when we're in touch with the truth of what's here. And of course, part of what we're thankful for is whatever we might feel grateful for. And so when I started working on this talk this morning, I thought about, okay, what am I grateful for? And I'd had a difficult night. Sometimes my dukkha is in night, middle of the night or during the night. I had a bunch of dukkha during the night, very not happy. And I got up and I was still not happy when I got up and I went and sat. And I just sat with being unhappy. And I watched everything relax slowly and just get here. Even though I still wasn't happy, I realized I'd clarified all on its own. I didn't even have to do anything. I just stayed with the body and the breath and breathing and being aware of the somatic, kinesthetic, energetic experience of being unhappy. And then it started to relax and open. And wasn't like anything changed in the content of what I was unhappy about, but I was able to be here. And then it was all more okay. And of course, so later when I was working on the talk, I was like, I'm grateful to be able to meditate. I mean, totally. And, even when meditation is hard sometimes, which it is. And then I get up early. So I got up and the sun was coming up and I look out and I have a good view because I'm on the third floor of a building here. And the sunrise, I don't know if anybody saw the sunrise, but it was great. It was just a beautiful sunrise. I mean, the colors and the shapes and the clouds and it was beautiful. And so I was grateful for the sunrise. And I wanted to get out. So I took a little bike ride, early morning bike ride. And of course, I'm grateful that I can still ride a bike and grateful to be outside. And nature, right, was beautiful. I rode through the park and down to the ocean and at Ocean Beach and, down to the zoo and back. And it was like, it's just, nature is beautiful. So grateful for the park and the ocean and the people, because, ocean, I forget what it's called, the big street by the ocean is closed on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday. And so people are doing everything. They're skateboarding and roller skating and bicycling and have babies or walking, or older people are walking, holding on to things to help them walk. And, and it's all good and all beautiful. And so you might reflect on what have you been grateful for today? What was good in your life? What was given to you today? And it's very traditional in Buddhism to reflect each morning, or if you're in the monastic tradition, each morning you reflect, you have gratitude for the requisites, for having been given food and clothes and a place to sleep and medicine if needed. And it's not just that you're grateful for them. There's also an intention that goes with what's been given, is to use it for a wise life, to a good life. And it's really the same. It's really a kind of dana that is being offered both ways, right? The nuns and monks are grateful for what's been given so they can do their life in the way that they do it, food and clothes and shelter and medicine. And then the intention to give back is right there by living a wise life, a life that helps liberate themselves and all beings. And it's part of the dana practice is like this, right? It goes both ways, always. And, Fahad spoke about dana today also. I believe next Tuesday, it's what's called Giving Tuesday. And so it's a formalized form of dana to give to what you care about. And so San Francisco Insight generally has us announce that it's Giving Tuesday if you would like to make a big or bigger donation to SFI as part of Giving Tuesday. And we're grateful if you give on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. We're not that picky on Giving Tuesdays, but it is a more formal, collective way to think about giving. And when I was reading the paper, there's something else about giving that I read that I thought I would read to you, and I'm going to read it to you. And Johnny's going to show some pictures. And wait a minute, Johnny. And first show the first picture, and then when I get to the second person, show the second picture. But the first, the story is about people over 90 who help passengers at San Francisco International Airport, right? People over 90. So in the story that I read, I'll read you some of it. Marge Stone was 54 when she saw a Chronicle listing to volunteer helping confused travelers navigate SFO. She thought she might like that, and it turned out she did. That was 40 years ago, right? So 54, she started 40 years ago. She's 94 now. And you could show the picture of Marge now, Johnny, if you've got it at hand. And wait, I've got to change my own view. Thank you. Yeah, so there's Marge at 94, right? Still giving Donna and kicking butt in my language. And right. And she goes on, she says, usually the main question is they want to know where the bathroom is. That marked on the day that marked her 40th anniversary, she was interviewed about this. She said, some don't speak English and they have to signal, but she knows how to read their signals, right? And she's a senior volunteer, meaning she's been doing it the longest of 135 people who do this at SFO over the week, right? And she's careful to point out that age 94, she's not the most senior. That distinction belongs to Ann Will, who's 98. And Johnny will show you her picture, right? And Ann's Will's 98th birthday fell on the first Tuesday in October, and she celebrated by coming into work. Marge said, Ann makes me feel young. On this day, when Anne was in, she said, a man came by after a canceled flight and asked if she spoke Spanish. She said no, but go ahead. And she was able to fake it enough to go into the computer and gather the information and send him on his way. And, there's a lot of people come in, and in the international terminal, people come by their desk trying to communicate in all languages except for the one she is fluent in, which is Finnish. She spoke it growing up, and it was great use until Finnair pulled out of SFO during the pandemic. And Marge Stone has the same problem. She grew up in a Russian-speaking household, and the weekly flight from Moscow on Aeroflot came in. So she had a lot of time to practice her Russian, but they no longer fly to SFO. And it's said about these people who volunteer, who give in this way, that there's no mandatory retirement age for the volunteers. The record is 101. So for all of you, you can do something, see if you can beat 101. And Will, she said, for one, is gunning for it. She said, I want to do this as long as I can, which is not very long, she said, at her 98th birthday. So it's, for me, a very beautiful, very moving to see how good people are, how giving people are, how kind people are, how caring people are, and how alive they are. And seeing that there's different ways to offer our intelligence and our kindness and our wisdom and our love at different times of life. And it keeps going. It's back and forth, the thankfulness. My friend Deborah Chamberlain Taylor, who's also a teacher at Spirit Rock, she said, I notice how generosity and goodness moves in cycles. If someone is kind, I feel gratitude and the impulse towards giving. If someone is selfish, I feel myself more guarded, withheld, and protective. The cycle of generosity fuels more generosity. The cycle of selfishness fuels more selfishness. And Emerson put it this way, talked about this endless seed, the endless circulation of what he called divine charity. The wind sows the seed, the sun evaporates the seed, the wind blows the vapor to the field, the rain feeds the plant feeds the animal, and it's all given. And so there can be a kind of appreciation and delight and enjoyment of being alive and what's been given. Of course, the poem by E. E. Cummings, I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and the blue true dream of sky and everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. Mm. And then, of course, I have more I could read, but I think I'll stop there.